So you're lonely, eh? I'll be your friend for the next 10 minutes.
A better you starts today.
I get this message all the time from somebody saying, I used to have some friends, and now I don't have any friends anymore, and it's everyone's fault but mine. And I'm here to say, maybe, I don't know who you are, so I don't know why I'm just sitting there being like, bullshit, you did something, you know you did it. But I just realised that half of my face is... Just one sec, hang on. Oh, the sun just came out from the clouds in my Success Island, which is in the tropics, so that happens very quickly. I don't know why I'm wearing a jacket on this tropical island. It's off light. I'm not taking it off, though. People are saying that the background's annoying. Not annoying enough, I say. Let's take it to the next level, because that's all self-help is about. Go to the extreme! So, you're lonely, eh? There's a couple of things that you should know about loneliness. The first one is, that's okay. Everybody gets lonely sometimes. You seem to get lonely more often than not. Probably because you're a loser. But the other reason that you probably do get lonely is that loneliness, and think about it like this. Loneliness is like being hungry. It is a physiological reaction. It's very hardwired in the brain. For whatever your length of time that you get the in your stomach, that's kind of the same as what's happening in your brain. So you need to know this, that... Sorry, you don't actually need to know this, by the way. The person that asked this, they're just being like, how do I just get some friends, man? But for everybody else, it's just interesting to know this for the rest of your life when you do get that feeling in your head. Hunger, obviously, what happens? Clouds your mind. All you can think when you're speaking like in an office or something is just be like, fuck, shut up. You're not an apple. I put an apple in your mouth and put yourself on a fire and start roast yourself around like a pig. Or let this meeting end. I need to find that pig. That's what happens when you're hungry, yeah? That's all you can think about. It is the same thing that happens with loneliness because it is almost as crucial to your survival as the pig is. You become friends with the pig. You just lost a friend. That's how evil you are. You eat your own friends. Well, if you were from Peter, you'd agree. And so, yeah, that's what's happening there. That is what's happening in your head every time you feel lonely. It is because you have a biological need to have interaction with people. What has happened in the modern age? Can you guess? Can you guess what a self-help channel using social media is going to blame? That's right. Your mum. Oh, trick question. No, obviously social media. Like, yeah, look, the stats are in. Gen Z, I think it was like 74% off of memory. It's one of the titles of one of these videos. It's something huge like that. Close to 3/4 of Gen Z report being lonely all the time. This guy's in high school. There's a bunch of kids around him, all with their little footballs and their Pokemon cards. He's still into that. All that kind of stuff. Playing around, having the time of their lives. But they're all doing it separately. So they're not having the time of their lives, are they? That was the entire point. Sorry, yes. They're very, very sad. Very sad people. And obviously it is because social media does this. Now, there are a bunch of reasons for it, and I'm not going to go into the neurological ones because I've already just done that, and I think that that's boring enough. But I will go into one thing that you need to keep in your mind about social media. How much of it is negative. Even when you watch a bunch of self-help, like, okay, let me begin you on a little insider secret here, right? We figured out a while ago that every time you put up a thumb that has like a grey foreboding background and a face being like, oh my God, you get more clicks. You get more clicks because your brain immediately just goes, no, negative, and goes immediately to it. So it's just always focus. So it's always what the game of social media is to just sit there and fester as much hurt as possible around some pussy wound you have and go right in there like it's a horrific vagina. Ah! Whew. It was intense, wasn't it? It was pretty intense, actually. So yeah. Like when you're on there, what it is doing is just pulling your focus immediately to things that are going to make you feel sad, upset, depressed, angry, hurt, sorrowful. And so what is your general impression of the world? Because you're seeing it through this screen that isn't the world, that is hypnotizing you. It's that like, oh my God, there's an earthquake happening in Brazil right now and there's a bunch of dead people there and nobody in this town cares about it. No one. I think I care about it because I watched it and sat there and went, that's awful. And then you just move on to your day. It's exactly the same what the news has done for years. Yeah, it's just like, if it bleeds, it leads. That's what is the entire point of social media. Like, every time something like there's the Mr. Beast angle, obviously, of just like, I just swallowed 1,000 cocks. But that's gonna, because he's just like, yeah, this I gotta see. But a lot of it, a much easier way to go is just like, what the fuck? And so, as a result of that, your brain just constantly going into that. And also, this is the other thing that like is just really, really obsessive with teenagers. And I think it's just because their brain is always just being like, fuck, I embarrassed myself again, I can't help it. Because they're just so gangly. But it's always just like cringe compilations. Cringy. Oh my God, it's so cringy. You just embarrass yourself publicly. So it's all just about anytime you relate to another person, that equals pain. Now think about it when you're in a natural setting. Every time you ever see one of those uncontacted tribes, they always say, well, you know, they kill people by the time they're 40 by clubbing them over the head. But the upside is they have a really nice 40 years. Fuck, it's like Logan's Run, isn't it? It's a very old movie, you wouldn't understand. But it's a cool movie, you should check it out. That's what's happening in those places, though. They have these amazing human bonds because they're just hanging around each other all the time. And so there's none of this, like, and it's a much more brutal society that you get killed at 40. You're going to live until you're 100, even though you just live off of KFC, I'm guessing, you dumb, greasy teenager. But you'll be fine that whole time, and you'll experience no problems whatsoever, but that entire time they are enjoying it, and it is because they are in a really close-knit group. And they're all just like hanging out with each other every day, fulfilling tasks together, which is the main thing that everyone always says when you're lonely, is like, go out and find some common interests. Why? Because you're focusing on a similar task as one another, such as Warhammer. Warhammer is very much like that, isn't it? Because it's all just about like painting together, learning the code together, fighting games together, pew, 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 pew. All those loser things that you're probably into because you're from the internet, and my entire audience right now is just being like, you made fun of Warhammer. So, that's what's happening in your head, yeah? What's happening in your head is just being massively exacerbated by, I'm just guessing, am I right, how much social media you are spending your time on, and it is always just giving you this idea, this warped view of the world, that if you interact with someone on the street, they're just going to be like, what did you just say? What did you say? You're going viral. You're going viral for that. That is abuse. That is what, these people are extreme narcissists that spend their entire life, and I just realized I probably shouldn't go too deeply into this because I'm having a self-awareness moment, but like, you know, they are just these people that are always need the validation on camera, so they flip out because it's just a very easy way of getting like heaps of attention is to do that kind of stuff or make someone else flip out, right? So they are getting attention in that regard. Now, that is not the average person. The average person, when you walk up to them, what happens? You just go, huh, and they go, huh. And they pretty much just have a mirror reaction to what you have. That is so important for you to understand, that whenever you are speaking to someone, they, if they're a normal functioning human being, will just be looping your reality back to you. So if you're happy, if you go up to somebody with a face like this, their face is going to go, you can see it. Ask you to do this as an experiment. Just go, next time you're at the shops, just walk up to somebody, when you're walking past somebody, and you catch eye contact, just remember to do this. Just go, and they'll go, or do this. And they go, because that's something that I realize, and this is a huge tip, this is a bit of a diversion, by the way, but because I have those like Russian downturn Stasi eyebrows being like, you did it, didn't you? You stole the potato. You got to gulag. No. I've got those like Eastern European downward eyes. I realized that my entire life when I walked up to people, I was always just like, people are dicks. And it was because my eyes were always just like, so they were always just going back to me being like, what the fuck? What the fuck you say to me? And I'm like, I don't know what you say to me. Like that is why it's just like so hot-blooded, I swear. It's just because for some reason their eyes go down like that. But then when you meet those really happy people, like Asians, for instance, with that really like Buddhist face, you're being like, Everyone walks up to them and just like, oh, I feel so comfortable all of a sudden. You know what it is? It's just because your eyebrows are raised. That is the sign in chimpanzee society of friend. So, You need to remember that for the rest of your life as well. Whenever you're meeting somebody, you want to make instant friends with them, you make the body language gesture of friends, which is this. It's just that. You will see this. The happiest, nicest, easygoing people that you ever see that just seem to make friends wherever they go, they're always doing this whenever they meet someone. Ah! And it's because it's just this face of familiarity and surprise of like, fancy thing? Go here. And that's what chimpanzees do to each other. It is just inbuilt into our DNA that means friend. So if you are having troubles meeting friends, that's just the opener. It's just like after that, everything flows naturally because your face is set in motion. And then after that, your body just starts to produce whatever is your face. Like that emotion starts to penetrate the interaction that you're having. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is, when it comes to loneliness, just like how there's people that are fat cunts that get hungry all the time, and me just saying hungry, they're just like, ooh, that reminds me, time to go to Hungry Jack's. That's Burger King for the Americans, by the way. And so they'll just have a double Whopper, and then they'll come back and they'll just be like, I feel bad about myself. I better go eat again. Because they just have that kind of like, it's like, you know, it's like a spectrum, yeah? Like everybody is hungry in certain degrees. I'm not a particularly hungry person. My girlfriend is just, she's never hungry, ever. But yes, loneliness, exact opposite way around. Like my girlfriend is one of those people that needs to have stimulation around her all the time of other people. So she's always going to lunch with friends. Somebody invited me out to a movie. Well, I have to go with my friends. One of those people. Meanwhile, when I was in witness protection for 6 weeks, I didn't even notice the 6 weeks went past and I didn't speak to a single soul the entire time. And I was happy. I was so much happier not having to deal with you. You ruined my life. You better subscribe. It's the only way you can rectify this. But yes, that's what I'm saying, yeah? Like, and this is a catchphrase that I need you to write down because it is such a tenement of quality of life, yeah? Being lonely and being alone are not the same thing. Being alone is sometimes you can have the most fulfilling experiences of your life being alone. Why do you think Buddhists go up and meditate in ashram temples? I don't know what they're called. The bloody temples in the bloody wherever they're from. That fucking shithole in the mountains. That one. Why do they do that? It's because you come up with like very enlightened insights and a sense of self-peace and self-worth and happiness being by yourself. Ironically, when people are always looking for attention to stop being lonely, the only way you stop being lonely is by being comfortable with yourself. That is the only way out of loneliness. You can be extremely lonely at a party, talking to people the entire time, taking drugs that make you happy. You can still be lonely. And why? Because there is just a discontent inside you. There is not a peace in there. As Mark Twain always says, man's problems arise from not being able to sit in a room by himself. So stew on that. If you truly are lonely, that's an emotion. Being alone is an action, and it is ironically the way out of being lonely. Because what is lonely? Let's just think about that for a second. Loneliness is pretty much FOMO. It's just, I'm missing out. It is this feeling of wanting something, needing something external. Oh, that's a big problem. Like, I've got my own problems, but one of my problems with my girlfriend is, so just dump on her. We've exposed enough about me for one episode. But she always has this thing of, oh, someone invited me to a movie. What if the movie's good? I gotta go. That's what's happening in people's minds when they're lonely. They're just thinking that like something is happening around them that's more awesome than them. But dude, as a former male model, okay? Because my girlfriend sucks and I had an amazing life all the time. But she's killing it, by the way. I feel very jealous about her. That's something that I have, actually, jealousy, being like, but it's a worse feeling than loneliness. It's from the same root anyway. But, you know, the ugly head of loneliness as opposed to the much uglier head of jealousy. But loneliness comes from the idea that somewhere someone is having a sick party, you're not invited. One of those mad Instagram parties is constantly getting shown in your face. That's another thing the social media is always doing, of just like, yeah, I'm on a boat and all the chicks there have mad asses. Yeah, from that angle, you close up more and it's like, hello, welcome to Sawyerlight City, honey. But anyway, yeah, like, I've been on those yacht parties. I used to go on them all the time as a male model. Didn't get any of the chicks because they were all trying to fuck the millionaires on the boat, but whatever. Was still there. You know what you realise, like, what they're doing there? Dude, they're just lonely people themselves snorting coke, and they all know what the deal is, right? Like, the millionaires know that the women only want them for their money, and the millionaires only want them for their body. And it's just this weird, sad transaction where the drugs kind of make you forget all of that shit. Like, but that is what you're aiming for in life, and just thinking like, oh my God, if I was there, I wouldn't be lonely. They are some of the loneliest people I will ever meet in my life, because loneliness is definitely equated to just a lack of peace and content of being alone. It's very, very, very ironic. So the only way out, like with a lot of problems in life, the only way out is actually through and to face your own demon, which is just pretty much like, can you sit down and meditate for 10 minutes? Because if you do, you won't feel lonely at the end of that. I can almost guarantee you that. The other thing is, when people always say, I'm lonely, I honestly think that they're always just thinking like, that cool group at school, they don't accept me, so I'm lonely. And maybe there are some like absolute Nigels watching this, probably, it's the internet, that just like get rejected from every group, even the Nigel group. But I will say this. Invariably, I would say to a 99.99 percentile of the people watching, you can absolutely call someone now. You can even call one of those like, I'm a sad sack hotlines. You get any human connection out of that, that's fine. That's your problem solved. It's pretty much just, look, you think about it like eating, right? Like if you really have to, just do it. Fucking have the KFC, have the person there just being like, yeah, I'm talking to you. Your brain will just be like, and get satiated again. You know, if you're actually like lonely, dude, make like with other losers and just make with your mom. Not sexually. I mean, you know, if you want to. But, you know, just don't have to have sex with your mum. You can just talk to her. And anyone like that, right? Like there's somebody in your phone right now that you just know that if you call them right now, they would pick up the phone and you chat and you wouldn't feel lonely anymore. There is someone in your Rolodex that you can call on immediately. There's probably 6. You're just not, because you have this concept in your head that it's just like, I won't get that satiated feeling of loneliness unless I'm hanging out with that specific group that I think they don't have their own problems. And I'm just externalizing and fantasizing about how mad their lives are. That's the first thing. But the second thing is, and this is something that I think, like, you know, this is all jokes aside, I will start getting like quite empathetic with you for once on this channel. If you are lonely, it starts becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because the loneliness starts to have in it, and this is another part of the fact that you don't have this inner peace in yourself, you start feeling like everybody that I meet is going to reject me because I'm worthless and I suck. And nobody's talking to me now, so all the evidence of my life at the moment is that that's always going to be the case. And so, and notice this, because let's just say over the span of a week, I bet you get social offerings. From family, from probably even friends. Like the people that always say that, they're like, my friends moved to another school. And it's like, yeah, they did. But you can still call them. Like, it is the internet age. Ironically, you can use the same thing that actually made you feel lonely in the first place to go and have a chat with them. You can do that. But the thing is, and this is something that you really need to get into when you get into that like negative feedback loop of everybody's telling me I'm shit. In your head, this is all in your head, by the way. It's absolutely not true. Like, dude, if there's people in the world that can just walk into a room and make friends with absolute strangers, you can do it too. Because I, little secret from somebody who spends his entire life by himself, am not a naturally social person. But because I spent so much time reading all of these self-help books, mostly just to get laid more, but anyway, that was back in the day. But the thing is, now, every time I go into a room, like, I can be the belle of the ball if I wish, you know? And I can just go up to strangers and talk to them and stuff like that. I don't, because I can't be fucked, but, you know, I can do it because it's just a bunch of different behaviours, like just the raised eyebrows thing. I can guarantee you that's like 80% of the problem solved. And the other thing is, if you are one of these people that has this, look, this is something that you have to start doing. You have to start accepting the social cues that are coming your way. What are the social cues? Just somebody ringing up and saying, hey, do you want to go to Target with me? Just say yes to it. Because it's all about training your brain out of this I'm scum mentality and realizing, oh, well, if my mum wants to hang around with me, I'm not that intolerable. And, so does my sister. There you go. She's closer to my age range. Oh, some of her sister's friends, they said nice things about me. And then you start getting all these reference points. And so when you are in different environments, you just realise, no, I'm actually not that scummy at all. Because here's the thing. You thinking that you're scum is an immediate disqualification. And that means, and you will meet freaks that, you go up to them and you can be the friendliest person on earth and just like, get off me, don't touch me, please. Those people do exist, but most people, if you come up to them and say that stuff, they just go, yeah, okay, let's hang out, let's be friends, blah, 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 blah. That does happen, like it really does. It's just a different mentality. It's just about having this self-worth that I can contribute to things, like in conversation I'm just fine, and like I can make the other person feel good. So this is the whole thing. The reason that you're getting all these negative feedback loops and overthinking when you go into someone is you're just like, now this is one, I just need this person to be my friend or girlfriend as soon as I meet them. It's now or never, it's now or never. And they're sensing that and just being like, you desperate fuck, and they're moving away. They are moving away because you are not offering them anything. Friendship becomes very easy to dissect, and I need you to write this down, when you realise that people want to be around people that make them feel good about themselves. The reason Bob Hawke was Prime Minister for so long, when people asked him what is his secret, he was just like, dude, and I've never actually heard anyone say this except John Howard, who was a very long-serving Prime Minister. I think he overtook Bob Hawke at the end, actually. But both of them, you just hear it. They just outright say this. I like Australians. And you can tell when they meet Australians. They actually like them. They like them. Whereas you get the sense of it. Like Paul Keating, for instance. This is going to make no sense to an American, but like he was brilliant. He was the greatest politician in the world of his time. Just super class. Amazing operator. Incredible intellect and brain. Public hated him. Why? Because he thought he was better than everyone. And he was. He absolutely was. That is not his fault for thinking that. He is way better than the rest of us. But he didn't like them. And so this is the whole thing. Like, I swear, now that my brain has been trained from just being in front of a camera for like 11 years straight, just every day, being like, now I think that when I meet people, I kind of just have that like night show host feel about me, just being like, tonight on the Jordan Shanks show, I have my special guest, Tu's friend that works as an accountant. So tell me about yourself. Wow, that's incredible. You look at spreadsheets all day. Not too much, I hope. They don't want to look into my taxes. Maybe, yeah, but that must be very interesting. But it's just like, because that frame is there of just like you're actually fascinated in the other person, they just open up and they reciprocate. So that is just something that you need to, like, dude, don't overthink being around somebody. This is as simple as it gets. Just be interested in them. You'll make friends. And don't go to the end card yet. Also, accept the cues that you're getting. Do not reject them. You have to get out of that habit. Anytime you get anything as an invite or anything like that, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter, just be like, oh no, Nath, I hate hanging out with Nath. Just go to it. Just go to it, because you need to get out of the rut of everybody thinks I suck to, no, not everyone thinks I suck. That is a completely different attitude that you are taking to the social table. Anyway, I hope that helped.